Hey, accelerators. I hope you're having a great morning. I hope the smoke isn't affecting you and you're killing it on the sales front, revenue front. And if you're not, that you're working hard on it and gathering those right resources, using the group and really building your business. I'm going to dive right into this. Ricardo Delgado always has great questions. He's got a barber shop, and his question today is, how does a sales professional build their sales skills? So he owns and operates a barber shop, and he wants to practice and help his team upsell products and services. How do you build a sales script? So, is an excellent question. Almost any business has an opportunity to do upselling, right? So somebody comes in for a haircut, but they need like product for their hair. And as you see, I do. I'm just about running out of what I use. And I don't know if I've ever been sold product. I see it sitting on the shelves and I'd be an easy upsell, right? So my suggestion for this is if you can take 15 minutes at least once per week before the shop opens and sit down and do one person being the customer, one person being the barber, and one person being the observer, and practice how you would go about opening up the sales conversation and how you would close people on products, right? So regardless, if you build a great sales script, if you don't practice it, people probably won't use it, right? So definitely write it out. What has worked for you. As the kind of sales guru or the rainmaker in your shop, definitely write out what has worked for you. So asking a question. Are there any products you like to use on your hair? Um, is there anything you'd like to do differently with your hair or how you look? Um, you know, uh, get together a bunch of open-ended questions. The nice thing about a barber is you have somebody who is there, and if they like to talk, it's going to be easy to start that sales conversation, right? They're not going anywhere, right? Like even a salesperson who comes up to somebody in a car dealership, they can run away, but you've got those scissors in your hand. That's your time to practice those sales skills, but you should practice them beforehand. And that getting into teams of three, one person observing, one person practicing, being the barber, selling the product, and one person being the customer is a great way. That third person provides feedback and then you switch, right? So just 5 minutes each can really help. But, write out that simple one-page sales script that works for you and then help train the other barbers on it. Great question. Upselling such an important part of every business. If you can help your barbers understand kind of the cost of each barber's chair and your ability to make that extra income and the whole bottom line for them on their income over the year, and their uh, income on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis really helps them break down and kind of builds them some goals to work towards as well, right? So plan out their year, what they're going to make, and how much of that is going to come from upselling. Next question comes from Belinda Wood. How do I go about bringing coaches on who I know have been trained to my level of expertise and satisfaction? Should I create my own coaching academy? If so, how do I start the process? So, Belinda's got a small coaching business and she's very keen to scale it by bringing on other coaches who are at least as good as her. Um, she doesn't have the ability, time, or inclination to train people to become coaches. Um, Yet she wants there to be a standardized, measurable ability process that they're effectively interchangeable with one another within her business. Great question. How do you train people well in a systemized approach up to the level you want? Um, when you're into that B2B or B2C business to customer high touch process, such as coaching, right? You got to have good skills, you got to build the process and work on the process, right? How would I start the process? I personally would look at people I've coached before. They know your process. If you had some really successful clients that you know are super smart and switched on. They've been through your process. Could you turn them into your coaches, right? It might be a lot easier than trying to bring in somebody who's been through a different coaching method, right? Somebody who comes from the Tony Robbins, his process of coaching people up and getting him involved in his sales cult. Highly recommend you look at his model, right? He has volunteers that help run his larger events that become coaches that then sell for him. So definitely look at other coaches and what they're doing to scale their model, but look at your past clients. Is there a segment of the people that you're currently coaching who you could switch on and move into kind of the coaching realm, right? And document, right? Get your processes down. Use things like Loom to show, hey, here's what I do on this, right? So you've got that process. You're building that library that the coaches would work on. And then look at different coaching academies out there, right? Lots of different coaching methodologies, but if there's one that you like, you maybe look for somebody who's training those coaches. There's also a lot of business schools, a lot of schools that teach coaching who they might have a coaching methodology that's similar to you. So look for those, start to build those networks. Find people who are coachable. A couple of entrepreneurs I know, they were just talking about how a lot of athletes, that in college they were athletes or they turned pro. They're great coachable people, right? So coachable people can become great coaches. There's lots of great athletes who aren't great coaches, as you see happen in all the major leagues as well. But a couple of routes, I think you can go there. I don't have a turnkey solution. I've been in business 18 years and struggling with, we've taught a process. We're asking people to do the process, and I checked today, somebody who hasn't been meeting their KPIs, they're not following the process. So, what are we going to do? We're going to sit down. We've given them multiple warnings, and we may have to march them out the door, right? That's part of this process of creating coachable people. If they're not coachable, you need to replace them. Hope that was helpful. All right, next question from Catherine. How do I figure out what KPIs I should be monitoring for my position with my company? So Catherine's the head of accounts for a marketing agency. I want to provide measurable goals for the growth of the company as well as myself. So that's a difficult one. Definitely as the head of my business, I think of how can I scale my marketing, right? I can look at how many meetings that I personally have, or I can look at how many events or how many clicks the marketing I'm doing gets and converts into leads for my team that then are able to convert, right? So really, it comes down to where you are in your growth plans and how you're planning to grow your agency, right? My growth goals, we've got a 3-year and a 5-year plan. And every quarter we're adjusting those KPIs and looking at it, right? So for me, I have people who can close really well. And we had a lead come in, I think on a Wednesday or a Thursday. I was able to reach out to my team, and they said, oh, we've got somebody, we've got a solution for this. I handed it over. They ran with it, and we had a sale completed by Tuesday or Wednesday, which is great for our industry. Usually we're on a 5-6 week sales cycle. So really look at your processes and where you add the most value, right? If you're still having to close, your KPIs can be related to closing, but also the precursors, right? What are your leading indicators, right? So if you're able to, get to 3 events, if you're a very locally based business, get to 3 events weekly, but also post on social media with the founder of that event, post a selfie, a shout out on 10 different channels, that might drive business further down the road, right? So those leading indicators, what are the leading indicators that are going to get you to where you need to go? And really focus on those, right? What are the things that got you the business in the past that are going to result in those sales down the road, and which ones are the high level ones that you can move people in underneath you, slightly lower skilled, but really starting to grow the company. I hope that's helpful. For me, it's how many really public, whether it's PR or YouTube videos or pieces of content I can produce myself, but then have my digital person cut those up, create them into shorts, and really do that multi-layered marketing for us. And a lot of what I'm doing now is on the podcast realm. I'm trying to meet with as many business owners as possible, not to try and sell them during that podcast, but then they can use me as referrals. And also by promoting them, I'm promoting myself as well, right? So, one of my KPIs is at least one podcast per week, but I'd really like to get that up to 3 per week because I want to take all the summer off. I want to be out on my boat enjoying the good weather when there's no smoke and stuff, really enjoying life. But if I can get that up to 3 per week during the rest of the year, it's tons of content to cover the summer, and really promote the best content, really focus on the best content for attracting our clients and growing our recruitment business. Next question comes from Lamont Gray. The age-old question, how much should I pay myself? And Lamont provides point-of-sale systems and security cameras to businesses and homeowners. So great question. He's grown his business from a side hustle to the point where he earns more money than his 9-to-5 and transitioning into full-time. So should I pay myself a salary as my earning, same salary as 9-to-5? Pay a salary that is competitive for the position, IT support in my local industry, or pay myself a percentage of the profits I earn each year? Great question. So definitely ask this question multiple times, ask an accountant, ask more entrepreneurs, get input on this. I definitely believe you should pay yourself, if you can, what it would cost to replace yourself. Right. So if you were to hire, two of the suggestions you had were to hire to pay yourself based on what you did when you were in your 9-to-5, or to pay yourself competitive to the position in the IT industry locally, or a percentage of profits. So the first two are very interesting. The same salary. Why would you pay yourself the same salary as your 9-to-5 as your full-time business? My hope is your full-time business is earning a lot more. So I'm hoping that you can get paid more, really. And that'll help you focus on being more profitable, charging more when you're providing that value as well. So I'd say, definitely pay yourself more than the salary you had at your 9-to-5. And I would definitely look at that, the competitive to the IT positions in my industry locally. All right. So one of the things you can do is, can I pay myself enough, but also have enough profit and enough budgeted to help grow the company so I can replace myself? So I definitely think at least as much as an IT professional in your local industry. So somebody doing, the real nuts and bolts of that role. Because if you're looking at to grow, you've got to replace yourself at some point. Elevate and delegate. So delegate somebody to be doing that work. So at least as much as having a professional do that work. But best case or better case scenario is paying yourself as much as a manager or a CEO in that same role. Hard to do, but as long as you still have that marketing and that growth, you've got all that budgeted, and also you're able to put some away, some profit away, some savings, then I would try and pay yourself at least as much as that IT position that hopefully you can replace yourself and step up, or as much as a supervisor or manager of those people, because you want to be able to move up into that role and have somebody come underneath you, right? So it really helps you say, okay, so what am I going to have to charge to become profitable if I pay that much? A percentage of profits I earn each year, definitely something that I would definitely suggest working with your accountant at the end of each year, um, right? Or at the end of each month, how much additional can you take out of the business, or how much you should invest back in the business, into your marketing, into your training, right? Get into a AO event and really helping you grow, right? The best investment you can do is making yourself, right? And you're doing that by being a part of an organization, right? Where you get that. So I wouldn't personally, think about profits right away, paying yourself out of it, because you want to build in those costs, those costs of training other people, those costs of getting a good accountant, those costs of building the systems, right? And not thinking, oh, I'm just making enough to pay myself a salary and some profits, right? You want to build that system. So pay yourself as much as possible, and really think about how you're going to replace yourself and what salary amount, because that'll affect your pricing, whether or not you can invest in other tools, other supports, and so on. Great. It doesn't look like I missed any questions there, but definitely, yeah, throw some chats, do some at on the on this live video, and I can follow up or provide clarification. Hope you're killing it this week and you're growing throughout June, July, and August. And I hope to see you in late June, early July, and then I'm out of my boat fishing on the West Coast, having a good time. But I'll see you back in September.